and good morning to all. My name is Tilemachos Koulouris. I'm responsible for STL, for the software business unit for STL Technologies. So Sterlite Technologies Limited, shortly called STL. It is a privilege and honor to be here and present in this breakfast networking webinar event organized by Innovation Multisom in association with FTTx, to discuss the path to open and disaggregated FTTx, or as Jim correctly said, fiber to anything, actually. An exciting path which is consistently shared by our industry towards solutions based on open and disaggregated components in the fixed network area. So as you may already know, disaggregation in few operators is already now a reality. And as many advocate, the disaggregated approach is here to stay, as it is helping the carrier service providers transform into a software-based telecommunications providers based on software-defined networks, autonomous networks, bringing innovation through AI capabilities, automation, and agility. And as the networks up until today have been built in a very static way, using large monolithic vertically integrated boxes, which is not only expensive to procure, but also difficult to maintain. What I am going to talk is about taking the network one step further into virtualization and openness. Before we start, a few words about Sterlite Technologies Limited, which is also known as STL. STL is a global technology leader that designs, builds and manages smarter digital networks. It is founded back in 1998, almost 33 years ago. Since then, its vision was and still is to connect any home in the planet. So as our network products and solutions provider with various offerings into the network space, our products vary from optical interconnect products, which starts from procuring the glass to optical fiber, up to optical specialty cables and interconnect kits. And on top of it, we offer system integration services which are related to these products, and not only, such as network design, fiber rollout, network operational and maintenance services, as well as data center and private enterprise network services. On the software side, we split our products into the network software products, which consist of digital BSS and network operations platforms, and virtualized access products, whether this is on the fixed domain or in the mobile domain with virtualized radio access solutions. Therefore, our theme is more relevant than ever when we call that our solution spans from silicon up to software. Based on these products, the company has been focusing mainly on the telco domain, as well as on cloud companies, but it has been instrumental in various projects, including intrusion-proof smart data network for armed forces, rural broadband projects, smart cities developments, and establishing high-speed fiber to the home networks. And of course, we are not offering our product and solutions only vertically, but also horizontally as end-to-end solution, like the ones that you see in this slide, such as Lead 360, which is specialized on an end-to-end solution for fiber deployment, or FTTx mantra, which with regards to the FTTx access network and many more. Now, Starlight Technologies engages in 6 continents and more than 100 countries with digital networks, focused business, spanning across products, services, and software. The company has state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities globally in India, in China, Italy, and Brazil, and aims to transform everyday living by delivering smarter networks. With a strong portfolio of over 425 plus patents, Starlight Tech is home to India's only center of excellence for broadband research, while the company is investing back part of its funds by creating innovative solutions through its 4 innovation R&D centers globally. Our revenues now are close to $1 billion, from which Europe is contributing almost 1/3 of the overall annual business. And lastly, we are proud for our certification received by a US-based total quality assurance provider called Intertech, who has certified Starlight for achieving zero waste to landfill. Now, manufacturing waste and its disposal, which is one of the biggest environmental challenges across the globe, is addressed by STL, and we are drastically reduced waste by having extensive recycling programs. All right. There is a tremendous push for fiber broadband connectivity to the edge, and from GPON to GSPON and NGPON, and that service providers are already offering. It is interesting to see this recent study coming from Ovidia, where it has shown that the broadband subscriptions will continue to grow drastically as the broadband offered speeds continue to enhance and become faster. Similarly, as we can all see in the second diagram, worldwide, the next generation of broadband technologies are mostly fiber-based. And no wonder fiber technology is the most predominant technology for broadband, with a compound annual growth rate at more than 9%. Let me here explain that the compound annual growth rate, called as CAGR, is the annualized average rate of revenue growth between 2 given years. So fiber technology is driving capital investments as the most reliable technology nowadays. Now, obviously, with COVID situation notwithstanding, has accelerated further the demand for high-speed internet and fiber-based broadband as the extended home office new norm, as well as the various lockdowns per country, which has forced everyone having this necessity, not only for home entertainment, such as video streaming or home gaming, but also for work and sometimes homeschooling too. And all of that sometimes even simultaneously. So we can easily observe that this large demand of new applications has speeded up the whole digital customer penetration. Still, as subscriptions flourish on the telco domain, there is a worrying factor as we're witnessing a decline in terms of revenues, as well as the average rate per user, the so-called ARPU. While we see ARPU remaining flat or even declining in some countries worldwide, the forecasted revenue is not growing proportionally to the subscription growth. And this is not looking bright in the near future based on the forecasted numbers that we see in this graph. In parallel, the service providers are trying to cope with an increased pressure on the demand by setting their own priorities whilst protecting their network infrastructure, which nowadays is being tested with increased demand on bandwidth, and at the same time also trying to contribute to the top line revenue as well as to the subscriber retention. And as the CSPs are trying to scale up the network and increase capacity, these facts lead to a need for broadband access transformation, which allow the CSPs monetize this increasing demand by reducing their own costs while bringing flexibility into their network by introducing a new open and disaggregated architecture. An architecture with an architecture transformation based on SDN functions in order to scale up with agility, meeting the specific requirements to offer the expected services to the customers, and also better SLAs to those subscribers. So we are discussing about a transformation into a software-based telecommunications provider. Hence, summarizing these challenges, we notice that the service providers need to find this sweet spot where they will be able to create additional value to their subscribers while reducing the total cost of ownership. And while the investment for ever-increasing demand will continue, the best way ahead is, in our view, is to create the right architecture and the environment for easier deployments. Now, all these can be achieved with a combination of two, the disaggregation of hardware and software, and by enabling a web-scale data center software model based on DevOps approach. And these Lego blocks disaggregation could help with less difficulties for experimentation, while control functions in software could bring the necessary automation. And on the other hand, a software-defined FTTx will bring to the vendor a technology-agnostic approach, allowing an easier integration between third-party software and, of course, hardware. So let's see what are the business drivers for these disaggregated FTTx architecture. And we are talking about, the fact that today any operator would invest nowadays on all these applications that subscribers are already consuming, like high-speed internet, IPTV, and multicast services, as well as video streaming. But the demands are changing, and there are demands for new applications, such as augmented reality, virtual reality, and it is obvious that there is a need for having edge storage and security and applications based on IoT. And also there is a need for re-architecting the central office to edge cloud to provide co-located CDN and coexistence with the legacy hardware, which all will lead to a quality of experience which will allow reduced latencies a deterministic jitter, and also better SLA monitoring. So with disaggregation and SDN open network, now we can bring more capabilities to the edge. We are already doing peer-to-peer connections, but bandwidth, reduced latency and jitter is always a challenge. And lastly, by dynamic bandwidth allocation will bring quality of service, quality of experience, functions to the edge, and it's only possible at scale if you separate out control management and data planes. Based on the current monolithic way, all these become very, very difficult to implement. And while we see synergies on the fixed and mobile networks, the open software promotes competition among suppliers and vendors, and cuts investments costs for network operators. So there are different forums that are basing also reference design, like the SDN enable broadband access called SIBA reference design, where vendors and operators are having as a basis. And there are other forums like the Open Broadband Forum, the Open RAN, as well as the Telecom Infra Project, where all these forums are driving the philosophy of disaggregation and softwareization. And we see this also from the CSP side, from the operator side, more and more, if not most of them, CSPs are joining these forums by getting consulting, getting into a dialogue with the vendors, and trying to draw the next page on the access solutions. So how do we do this? How do we move from a model that has worked well so far to a new larger ecosystem, and to the next domain of software-defined networking? We all well know that every operator has a certain way of implementing services and applications, and every customer has different segments, different requests, different demands. We also know that they do have the flexibility of launching new services. They do not have the flexibility of launching new services because of the lack of these new, of the lack of the open interfaces, automation, and software tools. And all these can be addressed by this new model, which brings a larger ecosystem of partners by driving the separation between hardware and software, and offering white boxes solution that can fetch the kind of services and applications that are going to become essential and will only grow further. And that flexibility comes only if you have such an agile network. So our offered solution is based on hardware abstraction of the OLT and ONT based on white boxes, the SDN controller and the orchestrator that manages all the services, and the third-party applications. And of course, based on non-proprietary protocols and interfaces, a combination which can create more flexibility, allowing CSPs to roll out services faster on their customer premises. With this software-defined approach, CSPs will be able to drive forward automation and could implement lean processes themselves in combination with their OSS platforms, which is going to be hugely important step toward the broadband network's future structure. And in a nutshell, our solutions and the value proposition that bring to the network operators is mostly span on the reduced time to market. You have the ability and the agility to have scalability on the fly while reducing the total cost of ownership with those white boxes at the edge. In parallel, you can unlock new revenue streams and have a better control of your network while bringing also a zero-touch provisioning. So we are talking about true automation and an offering of open interfaces into this new network infrastructure. So disaggregation of software and hardware helps on launching new services very quickly in a very agile way while bringing control back to the operators, creating a broader ecosystem and protecting, of course, capital investments who are very important nowadays. Thank you very much for attending this presentation. I hope it was helpful